In this week's episode of Talking About Orks, we're going over the Deffkilla Wartrike. So Deffkilla Wartrike is actually a pretty good unit. So it is a vehicle. It has a single model equipped with a kilojet. The crew is armed with a snagga claw and 3 twin boomsticks. So that's movement 14, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 6, wounds 8, so it's less than 10, of course. 5 attacks, that's pretty good. Strength or leadership 7 and save 4+. The kilojet is either a heavy flamer, or a scorcha, 8-inch range, assault d6, strength 5, AP -1 damage, auto hits. The kata is a assault 2, strength 8 -4 d6 damage, and if the target is within half range, roll 2 dice when inflicting damage and discard the lowest result. So it's essentially a melt-a-gun, a 2-shot melt-a-gun. The twin boomstick is 12 inches, assault 2, strength 5, AP 1 damage, and it's within within half range. Add 1 to hit rolls for this weapon. So you want to get this thing close to whatever you're shooting at. The snagga claw shooting is a assault 1, only 1 shot, strength 4, 0, AP 1 damage. You can reroll wounds. And the snagga claw in melee is strength +2, so it's only strength 7, AP -2, D3 damage, but can reroll wounds. And rerolling wounds is pretty big when you got 5 attacks hitting on 2s, so that's pretty good. It has Irigo, Mob Rule, and Daka. Speed Wah, friendly clan, biker, and vehicle units within 6 can charge even if they advanced. So while the War Boss can do infantry, the Deffkilla Wartrike does everything else. Fuel Mix a Grot. Once per battle, when this model advances, add 6 inches to its move characteristic for that movement phase instead of rolling dice, which on the fact does stack with the Evil Suns. And explodes is reduced to 0 wounds. Roll a d6. On a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 3 inches suffers 1 mortal wound. It is also Speed Freaks. So that means if you take Evil Suns with this thing, it will gain a 2-inch movement. You can fire assault weapons without penalty. And it will basically have a movement of 17 inches plus d6 and still charge. So that's pretty darn fast. So what can you do with this other than the Evil Suns, of course, which is the intended purpose, I guess you want to say. There is other options, of course, for which clan you want to take it. Of course, with Death Skulls, it gives it that 6-up interval save, but when it comes to artifacts, Death Skulls probably is the best one, because when you get right down to it, because it doesn't have a power claw, it has a snagga claw. It doesn't have a big chop. It doesn't have a custom shooter. Most of the really good artifacts you can't take because they replace one of those. You can take the lucky stick if it's Goff. You can take the thinking cap if it's Bad Moons. But if it's Death Skulls, you can take the Fixer Upper, which means the Deffkilla Wartrike can fix itself and gain a 6-up invul save. That's a very interesting combination. I mean, it only has 8 wounds, so it may or may not come into play, but that's a very good combination. But of course, if you want to go into the Village's Defiant book and the Cult of Speed Specialist Detachment, there's a artifact in there called Skargrim's Snazstrike, where it gains +1 toughness and a 5-up invulnerable save. So that is, and makes it toughness 7. I'm not sure that's all that tremendous versus toughness 6, but gaining the 5-up invul save on top of that, that's not a bad combination for basically 0. For 1 command point you have to spend on the Cult of Speed Detachment. And again, with the Cult of Speed Detachment, it doesn't have to be anything specific. It can be any detachment, and it only changes the Speed Freaks units. So even if this is the only Speed Freak unit in the entire detachment, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It allows you to take the Skargrim's Snazstrike for 1 command point. So that may or may not be worth it. And of course, if you want to give him Bad Moons, you can also give him the Bad Moons Warlord trait, giving him a 4-up invul save. Or you can give him Brutal but Cunning, which allows you to reroll hits and adds 1 damage to the melee weapon, so it becomes 5 attacks, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds, D3 plus 1 damage. Not a bad combination either, if you want to go that route. And if you want to take a biker army or any sort of dread mob army with cans or dreadnoughts or gorkanauts or even a stompa, you can advance with a stompa and charge if you really wanted to with this thing. Those are all options you can do. This is what it powers it, and that's what it's designed to do. The War Boss does infantry, the Deffkilla Wartrike does everything else. So unlike the other HQ choices you have, this thing has 3 different ways to get a invul save, and a decent invul save at that. So you can either get the 6-up invul save and repair itself, or a 5-up invul save and +1 toughness, or a 4-up invul save and reroll ones to hit in the shooting phase. With the kata, and that might not be a bad thing either, being able to reroll ones on your kata. So there's a lot of good stuff in here with the Deffkilla Wartrike, for sure. It doesn't have breaking heads, which is probably the one downside to it versus a War Boss, you know, just in general. And really, that's all to say. The Deffkilla Wartrike is actually a pretty darn good HQ choice just in general, but it can fit in with a little bit of trickery. You can fit in to specific lists or just general lists without any problems or without any downsides. There's really no downside to this, other than that it's strength 7 instead of strength 12 base. But you can reroll wounds, so you got strength 12 on a War Boss normally, but you're not rerolling wounds. You're wounding on 3s almost every time. But now you are going to be wounding on 3s every time, but you don't get any rerolls. And only 4 attacks. It has an extra attack. You're wounding on 5s, 4s, and 5s more often than you would like, but you get to reroll wounds. And that extra attack. And without the power claw, you don't have the -1 to hit either. So there's a lot of good with the Deffkilla Wartrike. I mean, toughness 6, 8 wounds. Those are the stats of Zasnark the Rippa. He's also toughness 6 with 8 wounds and a 4-up save, and he's also just as fast. So, and all this, of course, I shouldn't forget to mention, it's only 120 points. It's a bargain for what you get for this thing, because it's 120 points base and all the weapons on it are 0. So there's definitely a lot good with the Deffkilla Wartrike as an HQ choice, and I'm pretty sure that's quite intentional, because it's a new model. They want to sell them, so they has to make it good. And it's good, but it's not broken at all. It's just really, really decent and really well costed for what you get out of it. I mean, if you want to send these guys off by themselves to do some damage, they can do that. I mean, it's small enough where it can hide. It's fast enough where it can zip around and outflank by itself. And it's cheap enough that if you lose it, it's not going to be a big deal. I mean, if you do that, you probably don't want to give it a Warlord trait, but you can definitely give it the Snaz Trike and let it run off by itself and see if it can do any outflanking. It'll give you a separate threat with a decent save on its own that can operate on its own. And if you want to throw some bikes out there with it, maybe, not a bad option, because just a handful of bikes to kind of escort him, maybe shield him from a turn or 2 of shooting, allows them to go in there and outflank some weaker units or some artillery that's hiding in the back, snag objectives with its speed. I mean, that's really a bargain for all the things that this thing can do and all the options that you can use them for. So overall I'm very impressed with the Deffkilla Wartrike, and one of the reasons why it was a priority for me to build one, which I have done, and we'll plan on putting it on the table as soon as I can in various different roles. So have you tried the Deffkilla Wartrike out already? The model itself looks pretty darn cool. Of course, I scratch built my own one out of a Viper because I wanted it to be flying or levitating along with my Big Mech on bike, on jet bike that I made. But overall, let me know your opinions of this thing below, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orcs. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orcs videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.